What up, y'all? It's your boy, the Hood Nerd, back with another episode of the Hood Nerd Red Pill Talk presents the deep dive. I should say good morning. Watched the Shy last night. Decided I'd wait till this morning to talk about it, give a few more people a chance to see it. So if you haven't seen it, you probably want to wait to see it before you hear me talk about it. But it's been an interesting season so far. One that I can say the writing been spotty all over the place, to be honest with you. It's been good, it's been bad, but episode 7 is called The Black Messiah. So we deal with basically we get a chance to jump into all of the relationships in this episode. So we'll start with Imani and Trig. Trig is having a battle, and it's an inner battle because it doesn't seem like everybody knows that Imani is transgender yet. And when that does happen, I'm not sure what's going to happen to him on the streets. Because in that world, they just don't allow leaders in gang culture to really be homosexual, not in black gang culture. But, they're still having this situation where she's trying to turn him into this activist and basically save Chicago at this point. The whole utopian idea of defund the police and it takes a village to raise a child. That's not going to work. Not in reality. But, for purposes of the show, you watch it and you trying to, this episode, you saw how it played out. And what it also showed you was, yes, these things hurt your heart, but you don't know what it's doing for somebody else. This may be someone else's. At this point, they become accustomed to this lifestyle. So Imani and Trig, they get Duda, who gets out the hospital. He's hobbling around. They go to the guy who's running a sex trafficking ring. He tells him the services are no longer needed. I think he told him you got to the end of the day or tomorrow, shut the trap house down. Okay, cool, that's done with. So now Imani goes and she has this heroine complex where she wants to be the savior. I don't know if she said something last season, but it seems to be this thing she has for women who seem to be trapped in a lifestyle. And she always has a soft spot for that, and she's willing to go above and beyond to save women like that. So I don't know if she was in a lifestyle and Trig saved her or if somebody else saved her, and that's why she feels indebted to going back to reach her hand back to save them. But they get all of these, they go door to door, open all of these doors to basically let all of the women know in all of these different rooms, you're free. But they didn't want to leave. They were happy there. And that is that's the parallel, to be honest, which was a parallel to actually what Harriet Tubman, the supposed Harriet Tubman quote of I could have freed more slaves if they had known they were slaves. See, some people are comfortable in that lifestyle. And it also goes, not to veer too far away, but it also goes to when people say, why didn't other people jump off the boat, or why didn't these slaves fight during the transatlantic slave trade, or when slavery was happening, when they was enslaving people into Islam and all of that? Because those people, those tribes were already captured in Africa. They were already enslaved when they were in Africa. Those kingdoms had already captured other smaller tribes. So if you're already enslaved and somebody comes to get you and take you somewhere else, you don't know any better because it's all you've known anyway. So you're leaving from one slave plantation in Africa and you're going to another slave plantation. And the same as when they got here, Harriet grew up thinking, yo, I'm getting out of here, man. This is cruel. Yeah, you'll have a couple of those, but you'll have people who say, you know what? Now I'll give even a better example. The dude who continues to go back to jail. There's a video on YouTube of a guy talking, and he says, they ask him, why do you keep going back to jail for petty crimes? And he says, the one thing I can guarantee you in jail is I at least get a couple of hot meals, someplace warm to stay, and I have someplace to lay my head every night. And it's people for me to talk to. So now, when you look at it in that fashion, you can see why those women didn't want to leave. For some of those women, that's all they know. Imani was saying, well, call your family or friends. And the girl said, I don't have any family or friends. This was it. These women are my family and friends. It's sad, but that's a harsh reality for a lot of people. And that's why you can see certain people stay in certain bad situations. And it's why I tell people, I'll lend a hand if I see a woman getting abused in a domestic situation, but the second I see you back with them, I'm out. Like, I don't care if you kick your head in the next time around. I'm done, because I'm not going to keep putting my life on the line, which lends to the second part of Imani and Trig. The couple they've been working with, Vic Mensa, I forgot his character's name, but Vic Mensa, his girlfriend, and then she had her brother. And that's a situation we see so often in the Black community. Is these women, they come and they scream, I love you, I love you, I love you. And in the second they don't, you do something wrong, then they go call their brothers, their cousins, their uncles, friends they grew up with on the block. They bring them over to then get in the middle of something. You say, I ain't even start this. She wilding right now. So what, she lying? And because it's a woman, because she's going to cry and do all of that and gaslight, whoever's coming to help her, they're going to take her word for it. So now Trig gets there and he's just like, they having this scuffle. Now, I should say, prior to that, Trig goes, he asks her, he goes to check in on them at the beginning of the show. Ask her if she's okay. Then she says, you know, she puts the sign in that they giving everybody and that, you know, they can take care of their own community and all of that. So she's feeling good. Now she's getting ready to start stripping. She got the OnlyFans live going. She getting ready to take her bra off and all of that and get it popping on that. So see, for me, that lets you know what you're dealing with already. But, you know, that is what that is. And it also lets you know when you're dealing with a hood chick, this is what comes with the hood chick when you're dealing with her. A lot of guys just don't see it because, again, like I said, at the end of the day, they see love and sex. And because they didn't get love really from their mother, because basically you're the de facto husband growing up. For the majority of these men, you're the de facto husband and son growing up. So you didn't really get motherly love. You got wifely love, which means that relationship is always about a transaction. That's a transactional relationship with a single mother and a son growing up. Because once you put in that son husband role, you have to provide something now for her to keep loving you. That's why when you get to a certain age and you start putting that money into another woman in that relationship, she'll tell you got to get up and get your shit and get out. That's how that works. So we get to that. We speed on down to the end of that interaction. Trig gets there to break the fight up. He tells Vic Mensa's character to go downstairs, go outside, go take a walk, go chill. He leaving. It's diffused. Her and her brother come down the stairs. He pull his gun out. He's still screaming, yelling, what you gonna do? Get off this. Get out of here. Don't come back over here. She gaslighting. She's screaming, yeah, yeah, yeah. And this is how things happen. This is why I keep telling you, man, it's why you got way too many options. Don't ever let love put you in a situation where you're going to have to make the decision to either take a life or give your life. If that's the type of woman you're dealing with, just get up and go. But you can always tell. Like I said, people, it's only so long fake thugs can pretend. Be it 1 year in a relationship, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Eventually the mask will come off. And who people are, you'll get a glimpse into who somebody is sooner or later. Sooner or later. But so they come down the stairs, and now he pulling the gun out on Vic Mensa's character. So now Trig got to go over there. He trying to really defuse it, because now he got the gun on Vic Mensa's forehead. Vic Mensa saying, "Scream!" He's screaming, "Shoot me!" Then he ain't pulled the trigger, which lets you know then her brother ain't a shooter. Which is why I tell certain people when you getting ready to get robbed, if they gonna shoot you, if that's a shooter and a killer, he gonna shoot you whether you get your stuff up anyway. And it's why I tell people, somebody carjack me or get in this car, we getting ready to go for a ride or walk with me to this alley. No, you're gonna have to lay me down right here. Because what's not gonna happen is you take me some one of these secluded alleys or someplace like this, and nobody hit a body drop. Nobody hit a gunshots. Nobody knows where that gunshot came from. So at that point, if you as bad as you say you are, you just gonna have to lay me down right here. So Trig is able to, boom, pop him. Gun drop, he take it away from him. Vic Mensa character pick the gun up. Her brother is still looking silly. Now he charging Vic Mensa character though as if Vic Mensa a goofy. Vic Mensa's character pulls the trigger and he kills him. So that's basically close to how the show ends. So we deal with that situation. But in that situation, we also need to get this understood. All it takes is one quick second for your whole life to change. One moment of irrationality, and that's it. And then get you put in jail or whatever. Her irrational behavior cost her brother's life. A lot of men out here who's dead out in the streets, I can promise you, I can tell you this from personal knowledge. There are a lot of dead brothers. More than 70% of the gun violence you see in the Black community is revolved around a woman somewhere. It's revolved around a Black woman somewhere. And I'll give you 2 reasons for that. Either it's his girlfriend. See, when 2 men get into it, let me turn this ringer off. We have an incident like we did yesterday. 2 men get into it. No girl around. Let me tell you how the male ego works and how fragile it is. 2 men get into a fight, no girl around. He loses. He'll get up. He'll chalk that up, take that as an L. Man gets robbed. If they catch you and you alone and you know who it is, or you really don't know who it is, but you got a sneaky suspicion, he'll still chalk that up as an L as long as he don't have to see dude again. His girl around and he get his head beat in. When he go home and they get into an argument, and because of her dysfunction and anger, there will be an argument one day. Even the sweetest women want to argue. Now they can run into a man who doesn't want to argue, and they can go another way, and the situation can be diffused that way. But even the sweetest women want to pick a fight. So now they want to argue. He tell her, "Shut up, get out my face, go sit down." The first shot she gonna throw in his face is, "You ain't tell dude that when he was whooping your ass." And at that point, boom, we off to the races. Now in his head, he know if he don't die or I deliver a great ass whooping that's gonna get back to her, she'll never respect me again. His ego has been bruised. Even with the gun thing, when you get robbed. When you're out in the streets, you get robbed, You can chalk it up for a loss. Your girl with you though, the second she said, I think that's dude who did that right over there. She's put you in a very awkward position now. Because now in your head, you got two things going on. A, this could go left and he could die. But B, she gonna think I'm a sucker and I can't protect her if I don't go handle my business. So now you go do it. And this is how you get what you get. So, whose situation do we want to tackle next? I'll say that for the end. We'll tackle Papa giving Jake advice. See, being a young teenage boy, Papa and Jake, they going through some things at this point. Papa done screwed up with Maisha. And it's teenage love. They don't even really know what love is at this point either. But they doing everything to make sure, again, the girl is happy. For Jake is out here he wants to invite her to the spring fling, smoking weed with the girl, all of this. He gets as corny as writing cards with crayon letters on cards saying, I'm sprung. What is it? I'm sprung. Go to the dance with me. He's sprung. And see, that's kind of how, again, I tell you, that's how sex can control a man in a relationship and control his actions. Because this is also what being with that woman has done. A guy he looked at as his brother. Thick as thieves. Tight as anything you wanted to be. He was willing to ruin that relationship so you could lay down with this chick. Now, you don't have the foresight to understand that this thing is temporary. That she ain't got unconditional love like that. And you shouldn't have unconditional love. But she ain't got the deep bond with you he got. She ain't got it out the mud like that. You throwing 13 years away, 14 years away for 2 months and a kiss on the cheek and somebody being gentle with you. And you got to understand, like I always tell guys, if a girl willing to sleep with you and your homeboy, that's a hoe, man. That just is what that is. See, a lot of men get the number confused with whorish activity. Whorish activity is when you running through the crew. When there's no standard for you. You just kind of, yeah, I sleep with him, but I know that's his best friend. And that's another friend they got, and I sleep with his cousin. That's whorish activity. I don't care if you slept with 4 men in your life. If they 4 relatives, that's whorish activity. Then I would look at you as a hoe. If you 40 years old and you slept with 30, 40 men, I don't look at that as whorish activity, not unless it's all men who know each other. That's you in a 25, you 40 years old. Let's say you start having sex at 18. In a 22-year stretch, that's you. If you haven't been in a serious relationship, that's you basically sleeping with 1.5 men a year, basically. 1.3, 1.4 men a year. That's not really a lot. It's even for a guy, a great year for a playboy, a bachelor guy, his number could probably be, I slept with 20, 30, 40 women in a year. And that's just for an average playboy guy. A guy who kind of just get popping and know what's going on out here could probably sleep with 50, 60, 70 women in a year. But Papa giving Jake, Papa trying to teach Jake about love language. And a lot of this is Papa growing up in the home he grew up in. Having a father like that who's a minister, I'm pretty sure he's learned all of these jewels. But at that age, Papa can't get that type of advice. So Jake running with it. And this is supposed to be Papa's specialty. But of course, Maisha didn't dump Papa because she feels like he's jealous of her. Also, she's getting newfound fame. And now she got different boys checking for her. The boys she wants checking for, which is why I always tell you guys, enjoy the journey and enjoy it for what it is. Because being in love is just, that's a conscious decision every day to this person. At any given moment, somebody could roll over out the bed and say, you know what? Yeah, I really don't want to do this anymore. I want to spread my wings and chill out over here and be in this relationship. That's fine. You just live with that. That is what that is. But, I'm very interested in next week. They showed Maisha dancing with a new dude, I guess at the spring fling, Papa on the side. I kind of want to see if Papa get edgy and get upset and maybe want to fight next week. We'll see what the writing is like for that. So then we have Emmett. You got Emmett and Jada. I mean, Emmett and Tiffany. So with Emmett and Tiffany, they have this whole open marriage thing going on. And with that being said, Tiffany is invited to a sex party, but for some odd reason, I don't know if Lala is shooting another episode or what's going on with that. But she couldn't help doing the catering with this. So, Emmett was like, I'll go with you. Well, no, she asked him to go. He says, no, I'm cool on a sex party. But what's going on at this point is now that Emmett don't have to sneak around, he got free reign, which most men do. Most men have an issue now with what's good for the goose is good for the gander. See, most men are fine sleeping around, but they can't take their girl sleeping around. And even if it's a threesome, they fine with that girl if it's another girl. The second a woman tells a man, I want to be affectionate or I want to sleep with another guy, it tears at a man's ego. Because now he thinks, she told me my penis and what I do in the bedroom was like that. So why does she want it from somebody else then? His ego is fractured. But you just have to understand, like I tell people, things like that happen. And it's why I tell people my standard when it comes to my boundaries in marriage and in any relationship I'm in is don't bring me a disease back. I'm not raising another man's child. Because at any point in time, if I think the friendship is worth saving, if we had to have a conversation about, let's change the rules up some a little bit so that this could work, because she said, I'm kind of feeling being in this situation. Or I want a little more sexual freedom. If I thought our friendship was worth that, then I would be willing to go down that road and explore that. But it's also why I say my boundaries are my boundaries and they stay my boundaries, because once you violate that boundary, as a man, if I don't now check her and say, that's it, I'm out, she'll then go and look and say, okay, I can push it a little further. So that's why I always get advice of whatever your boundaries are, when somebody crossed that boundary, that's a bridge too far now. So that's probably it. So for me, if somebody crosses a boundary, I say don't. It's a 95% chance I'm going to end that relationship. Very, very more likely than not. We'll have some dialogue, for me to see where you was coming from and why you did it. But yeah, my decision has probably already been made that I'm getting ready to cut bait. So Emmett and Tiff are going through this weird phase now where Emmett slept with all of these women the first 4 seasons. And she's kept forgiving them. And he keeps crying about it. But then in second, she just was finally like, you know what, forget it. I'm going to do me. And I'm going to go have sex with other dudes. Now, what's hurting Emmett is somebody else is making his wife make the sex faces that he thought only he could make her do, and that she keeps wanting to go back to it. So now he's having a hard time comprehending how could she come home and get into bed with me and make those faces and then get up and go to somebody else and make those faces. But if she coming back telling me she loved me, what is she pillow talking with him about? Again, the male ego is very fragile. And it's why a lot of men can never forgive their wife when they cheat. I always call them hypocrites for that. Because for me, if you can get out here and do it and she can forgive you, you owe her the same respect. If you say you want things as fair as you want them to be. Now, if you don't, that's a whole nother conversation. Like I said, you set the rules for the relationship you in. So if you say your infidelity is it, if that happens, I'm gone. Then when it happens, you better be gone on both sides. So if you cheat and she can't cheat, if she leaves you, you don't need to be crying to her and bending on one knee, because you need to say, I will leave her for the same thing. So I get it. And go on about your business. But Emmett and Tiff, they get to the sex party. Emmett is starting to see all of these different things in this world. He's seeing people get paddled. Now, I've been to a couple of sex parties before, back when I was, late 20s, early 30s. I won't say a few, but I've probably been to about 10. They used to have a boatload of them in Lincoln Park in my early to mid 30s. So, you go there, you see what's going on in them. You see people getting spanked and all of these things. But for me, it's just kind of like, I don't enjoy using condoms. So for me, it's one of those things where it's just like, I'm not going to put myself in a position disease-wise, and I don't want, a child with somebody I don't even know either. So, for me, it's too many things can go wrong for me to participate. I can sit and watch it, but yeah, for me to participate in it, I would have to know you on a personal, intimate level at that point for me to feel comfortable, having sex. I'm not a one-night stand dude, but I've told you guys that already. So, to the sex party, Emmett he's aroused when he sees the two women doing it. But so that would let you know already. His fantasy is always more, he insinuates it with her, where it's like, man, we could find somebody to come home, bring home with and play with. So that's him more saying, my fantasy would be me, you, and another girl. I have a sneaky suspicion that other girl is going to either be Dom or it's going to be Keisha. Not sure yet, but we'll see how the season plays out. But in terms of the bondage, BDSM, and all of that, yeah, he wasn't really into it. He ain't like it. So then they see the runner of the sex club, and she's basically explaining to him the couple that plays together stays together. So she's trying to give him pointers, give her, Emmett and Tiff, pointers on, look, if you guys can trust each other and learn to play with each other in this fashion, your relationship can flourish and grow in this. Because the one thing I do admire about people in their life is that's the ultimate level to me of security and friendship. Because at that point, we putting all cards on the table and you kind of letting me into everything you like sexually. See, when you deal, this is why the subject is so taboo in the Black culture. It is why also another reason when Black culture looks at white culture, they don't understand. It's just like, I don't understand how they've been married that long and they smile and they're doing this, because they've adjusted the rules to their relationship. So a lot of those people who make it work and their friends, they found a way to stay friends by always, okay, yeah, I got a wondering. The wife could come and say, okay, I got a wondering eye. Or, yo, I would like to have sex with this woman. I want to explore that. Or I want to explore having sex with this man. Okay, that's cool. If the friendship is worth it, I understand our friendship is strong enough to withhold this. Our love and our friendship and our bond is deeper than that. See, in our culture, even in the Hispanic culture, it's an ownership thing. Like, no, that's mine. She's saying that's hers. He's saying she belongs to him. It's this whole possession thing. It's not really a friendship thing. It's more like a, that belongs to me. This belongs to me. And I'm not sharing it. It's kind of like this whole only child thing. But you'll see those couples who participate in polyamory and sex clubs and swinger things, they almost can have a conversation about anything. And that's the ultimate goal, is to be able to really sit down and have a conversation with somebody about anything. Not tell them. See, a lot of men and women will tell you, oh yeah, I can talk to my partner about anything. But they really can't. What they'll do is come back to you and, yeah, well, I talked to such and such about this, and okay, yeah, I'm coming to you now. You like, well, why didn't you come to me first? Well, I just don't feel like I can really talk to you. Well, what about me makes you not be able to talk to me? I don't scream at you. I don't yell at you. So what's going on? So see, at that point, they let you know at that point, even without telling you, even though I'm telling you, you're my best friend and I trust you and you nurture me, I still don't feel comfortable with you. So what they're really telling you is, I still don't fully trust you. Even though I tell the world that I trust you, I've also made a commitment to God and all of this, be it man or woman. But I still don't fully trust you because I really can't let you in like that. I got to still go to other people to have certain conversations. So we'll see how Emmett and Tiff navigate through all of this. I could see this kind of just being a running theme, though, to their relationship. And this will kind of just be who they'll be the rest of the show. And they'll start being a couple that everybody goes to for advice, and they'll be able to go back and replay back on certain situations they went through and all of that and try and help people through. But I kind of like what they're doing with Emmett and Tiff. And I like that this subject is being talked about in this. Because I think the subject is very taboo in our culture. So many people have to hide living in that lifestyle. When, to be honest, it really shouldn't even be anybody's business, which is why when people have gay relationships, lesbian relationships, even transgender, men sleeping with transgenders, the one thing I always tell people is, and why it has never bothered me is, I don't care what a heterosexual person doing behind closed doors. This is why I don't get up when this, yo, this is a great thing. I'm coming out and I'm telling you that I'm gay. Okay, dog, you enjoy having sex with men. Whoop-de-doo. Okay, miss, you enjoy having sex with women. Like, I don't care what goes on in the bedroom doors. Like, those doors are, that's you guys' business at that point. That's your intimate relationship at that point. That's not my business one way or the other. Be it even heterosexual, that ain't my business. So, and for me, I don't need this, but it's why I don't also, before we get to the next couple, I don't get into the whole religious conversation anymore, because it ain't up for me to judge none of these situations. If we're to be judged when all of this is over with, we'll be judged on our own individual merits. And it won't be me. I won't be making the final call. So that ain't even, for me, it's not even my business to feel a way about it one way. The only issue I've ever had with LGBTQ people is they seem to want to make it like this is better than this. And that I'm entitled to, I want to try and compare this with systematic racism. And it's like, no, these are just sexual orientations. This is a choice you're making with who you want to have sex with. This is not that type of thing. Nobody would even need to know, to be honest, a lot of these things if you didn't come out and volunteer that information. See, when you compare that to systematic slavery, to those people who participate in that, when I walk in the door, I'm who I am. I ain't got to say nothing. For a lot of us, they see, when they read on the application who we are, when they see the name. So you having two different conversations there. That's probably my only issue with any of it. It's just trying to mix it in with, yo, we're being oppressed too. No, 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 no. Let's not do that. Because those are two different conversations. So we get to the next couple in the next situation. And where will we go with this? We'll go with Keisha first and her baby. That's quick. She got her baby back. I wish they would have showed the conversation. I don't know what was up with that writing. They just blinked back in. She leave the last episode and it's, I want my baby back. We come back and the baby crying. So you couldn't put the conversation in there for us to even kind of see what that would be like. So, it basically took that character off. She got her baby back. That's fine. We get to the end of the show and she's getting advice about how to name the child. Man, that coffee went down the wrong hole, man. Woo. And we get to, honoring Ronnie basically for helping her get her freedom back. So she names the baby Ronnie. That's fine. She's still having nightmares about being raped. I'm hoping next season they'll go more in depth on what that's like for a woman to have a child out of rape. How do you view that child? I would be very interested in them deep diving into that topic. But, with the writing on this show, they don't really deep dive into any true issues. You kind of have to draw your own conclusions with a lot of this writing, man. They don't really go in depth on anything. There's no nuance to really any of this. It's a lot of surface level stuff. So Keisha got her baby back. That's fine. Now we get to his mom, Jada, Nina, Kev, and Keisha's mom, and Dre, her lesbian wife. Now, like I said, when I saw episode 6, I said, this is all soap opera writing. Because that's usually how soap operas go. The second you get somebody to finally get on one accord so they can get back to normal, the other one usually goes out and cheats. Or the second he's getting ready or she's getting ready to say, yes, I want to date you, she goes to knock on his door. He's in there kissing another woman, or he goes to knock on her door. She's kissing another man. He sees it. He walks away. Forget it. I ain't doing it. That's kind of how that felt, where it was like, okay, she finally saw them hugging each other. She saw Jada and Dre hugging each other. And then it's like, you know what? I'm going to get drunk. And I'm going to sleep with somebody else. And then it comes back. She comes back home. And then Dre is like, Jada got cancer. And she breaks down in front of her. And then, now Nina's just like, it went from, it's cool, I'm going to sleep with somebody else, get some get back, to, oh my God, what have I done? What did I do to the family? So, I thought that was lazy writing all in itself. To me, at that point, you let it play all the way out, but whatever. But it also goes to show Jada and Dre, she understood she couldn't trust Nina because it was just like she's a tattletale and a blabbermouth. So we can't tell her. So it also lets you know what they think about her and holding information. So she's just not trustworthy. That's not somebody you could bring into your inner circle to know about everything, because that would be discussed with other people. And we all have had relationships like that, or in relationships like that, where it's like, okay, I see now you violated this trust on this level, so we can't really converse like that. Or we can converse, but I can't let you in on everything anymore. There has to be a point where I have to put the brakes on this. So Nina and Emmett are in the kitchen. Nina drinking. He like, man, it's early. You guys, there's some extra in there. So he get a cup and he look at Nina. He like, You look like you got some stuff you want to get off your chest. He was like, I know that look. You feel like the wall's closing in. And for Emmett, like I said, I could see them being a couple to give advice now. He's going to replace Brandon in that role because you look at it and you see it and it's just like, here it is, the youngin and the minor giving relationship advice to somebody who's old enough to be his mother. And she just like, boy, what you know? I've been through some things already. I know. So it's basically like he tells her, just come clean, man, and let it go. Then she tells Jada. I don't know why everybody confide in Jada. Emmett told her. Nina then told Emmett told her when he cheated on Tiff. Nina then told her when she cheated on Dre. So Jada's just like, Jada cracks the joke first, like, man, I would have thought, if I was in your shoes, I would have thought me and Dre was, getting it in. And it was kind of like a joke. And Nina looks up and gives this look, and it's like, wait, I did. And it was like, wait, you know us. You know we wouldn't do nothing like that to you. But see, a person's insecurities, especially a woman's insecurities, will lead them to start assuming and thinking the worst all the time. Now, they'll get in front of the world and tell people, give advice and all that. They'll tell people they're very secure. But in their weakest of moments, that's when you can see whether somebody is secure or insecure. Because if you're truly secure, you don't even worry about it till it come and knock on your door. But that's not the case for most. Most people tell you, I love him, I do this, I'll do that. They would never do this to me. They would never cheat on me. I would never cheat on them. And it's kind of when I go back to, with all a product of past relationships, past hurt, past trauma. No matter what we want to act like we are today in our standard form, everything we are is the result of what's happened already. It's the result of yesterday, the day before that, the day before that, the day before that. That's who we are today. It's just the result of that. You can accept that. You don't have to accept it, but that's the world that we live in. That's human beings. That pain you have in your foot, that's the result of something prior. That pain you have in your body, that stomach ache, that's days and days of bad eating, weeks and weeks of bad eating. We are always the results of past decisions and past hurt. No matter how minute you might think it is, we are the results of that. So, she tells Jada gives her that look, and it's like, well, she was like, I think Dre will leave. She's like, well, I've known Dre a long time. Dre don't run from no fight. And she don't run from nothing. So that's kind of the end of the show. That's kind of, I think, where it goes off at is that, and it's her telling Dre. No, it goes off, I think, with Keisha naming the boy Ronnie, but it's still at the tail end. Nina tells Dre, I stepped out on him. And Dre gets up and lets out this roar of pain. And she's just sobbing and crying. And Dre goes, she just kind of like standing there like, I can't believe you did this. She got her hand over her head and all of that. And it brings to mind to me when women get around and talk and it's like all men are dogs. Infidelity is infidelity. It knows no gender. It knows no sex. Man or woman can cheat. This is the same as when you have domestic violence conversations. Gay men beat each other. Lesbians beat each other. Like, domestic violence is not a heterosexual male on a heterosexual woman thing. That's what the world would like for you to believe because they want to portray this whole toxic masculinity thing. And I'll be interested to see, because Lena Waithe is a lesbian, I would love to see, will she show the toxic environment that lesbians behave in between Nina and Dre now? Because see, with Vic Mensa's character and his girl, You see all the screaming, yelling, guns need to get bought out, friend brothers need to be called, all of this, punching holes in windows. So I want to see if they're gonna bring that toxic side out, or is it just gonna be an attack on heterosexual relationships and the dysfunction of that? So we'll see how this plays out with that. But you have to understand Nina had her issues already with her previous husband. So she ends up now. This is how you get that. This is when I can tell people though too, when you get people who are born lesbian, born gay, and then there's people who do it because I just want something different. So they go way to the right. And that's what Nina is one of those characters. She's the epitome of the woman who's just like, I've been hurt by a man so bad that I'm gonna go date a woman. Because I know a woman, I'm like a woman. I wouldn't do that to another woman. But yet and still, now you find yourself being the one that cheat on that woman. And the infidelity is still an issue. Your insecurities are still an issue. All your issues you had with that man are still an issue. They're manifesting themselves now in this lesbian relationship. But you can't take accountability and look in the mirror and say, yo, okay, even if it's not me, the actual problem, what about me brings these type of people into my life? What about me where I draw that type of energy to me? So we'll see where that goes. Then we get to, Kev and his new girl, which I saved this for the end because ain't it funny how God worked, man? I just had this episode Thursday, about the guy with the Asian wife from the Black diaspora. And how I put the caveat in there and I said, the problem in our culture is, and it may be in white culture too, but I can't speak for that. I'm not white. Could be in all cultures, to be honest. But in Black culture, Black women, young Black girls, high school Black girls, middle school Black girls, they started where they don't allow Black boys to be themselves. So they must shapeshift and transform into whatever is popping to get that girl. Now you'll have people who will say, no, that's your decision. You make that decision. So it's easy to say for somebody who's not the hunter, who's the hunted. It's also easy for an adult to say, yeah, that's a 13-year-old, man. That's, you can't blame this for that or that for this. What you have to understand is, just like you wouldn't want a 13-year-old held accountable or charged as an adult for an adult crime, because you understand he doesn't comprehend that just yet. So see, as a child, which is why I keep saying we are the product of yesterday's decisions and prior decisions. Everything Gemma wanted Kevin to do in that relationship, Kevin basically did. And then he started to rebel because it was just like, all right, this ain't really me. Like, I don't really like this collar like this. And yeah, the sex and sneaking around for sex, this cool, but yo, you want to talk about our future and you want me to have a little edge to me now. And you want to be this freedom fighter and all of this. So now Kevin being a nerd was just fine with Gemma. And this is when I tell you, which is, I just had this conversation also. Maybe we'll have him on or whatever. I don't know. All of this is fine that Gemma wanted Kevin to do in the initial part. Be a square, be normal. Kevin can still be Kevin. Gemma gets the blowout. She got the afro. She got an Angela Davis thing going. Now she wants a radical next to her. She wants Jake now. So now I need Kevin to be a bad boy, but I also need Kevin at 13 to know, what do you plan to do 20 years from now? He doesn't know. I don't know. I'm not thinking that far ahead. Right. For a boy, for a black boy growing up on the south side of Chicago, you're just trying to be alive tomorrow, man. And you get this chick who comes from a privileged background. She has no clue, no idea what it's like to walk in those shoes. She's bringing her stuff, her values, the way she thinks life should be lived. She's bringing that now to him. He hasn't had a chance to grow up like that, but she doesn't get that. She'll never have a clue what it's like for him in the black male experience growing up in that environment, because she'll never have to live it. All she can do is make decisions on the world that she grew up in. She can see life from the world she grew up in, but they're looking at the world through two different prisms. They have two different glasses, two different sets of glasses on at this point. So now, Gemma then shape shifted on Kevin. So now she want a roughneck. Now she with Jake. Now she's smoking weed. See, all these things were bad at first. Now what's really going on is Gemma she told you already, I just can't wait to go to college to get away from my father. So now that's letting you know a lot of what I'm doing is to upset my father. Kevin does not upset my father. My father allows me to sleep with Kevin. My father allows me to still sneak around. He's not yelling at me. I'm not getting the attention from my father I thought I was going to get. And it also goes back to what I told you, I think on Friday's episode. Whenever it goes wrong, we'll always get the blame, man. It's going to always be daddy issues. Whenever a black woman comes out screwed up emotionally, she got daddy issues. It's always our fault. When the community goes awry, got daddy issues. There wasn't no black father around, wasn't no strong hand around. Yet, they tell you they are the leaders of the community. So if you're the leaders of the community, like I always say, then this is your mess to clean up. You created this. Shouldn't be blaming somebody else if this is your kingdom. You are the ruler. You either allow the behavior or you disallow the behavior. So Kev is going through it. He listening to rap music, love songs, whatever. He was introduced to the girl last week. He bumped into her. She said, "Watch yourself." So he's going to pick up a video game. And his mother is also, before he leaves, she still, don't be worried about no nappy-head girls. Focus on your books. And see, that's again another problem we have in our culture is you have black mothers trying to tell black boys and black teenage boys how life should be lived, when again, they have no clue. They have no clue what it's like to be us on a day-to-day basis. But what they want to tell you is what they think a man should be like, what they think a man's experience is, what they think the black man's experience is, because they think the black woman's experience and the black man's experience, they think it goes hand in hand. That's the world black women live in. They think when you say, "Yo, man, this is crazy out here, man. Black people getting treated like crap out here." To them, they think we living through the same experiences, and we not. We're just not. It's two different worlds. So he's getting it from his mother, and his mother is feeling a certain way also, because guess what? She's losing her husband now. She's having to turn her son over to another woman. That's also an issue she's having. I don't know if they'll write it in that way, but in most households, this is where the disconnect comes between mama and son, around that 13, 14, 15-year-old phase. That's where he starts to spend his money on another girl. He don't want to be around you no more. You get a Mother's Day card. You don't get the Mother's Day card, the flowers, breakfast. Let me take you out. let me do this. No, he's starting to live his own life. He got his own business to take care of now. So that's how that's going. So then he leaves the house, goes about a video game, sell out, and he getting ready to go home. He pouting again. Kev just can't catch a break. And you see the girl he bumped into last week. Now, the allure of sex. Kev is now getting ready to take a train ride from the south side of Chicago all the way out west and go walk about 30 minutes to go to this video game room to play video games with her. So he think he getting it in. He vibing with her. He beat her in the video game. She called him corny already, though. Even, I also must state this also, Jake calls him corny. She was like, man, she just didn't want his corny ass. And again, this is when I say this is where the disconnect comes between when we grew up as young boys being friends to separating, and us over here in the streets, you look at the so-called hood dude, the hip-hop culture guy, the athlete, the guy into hip-hop, or just the so-called cool dude, or the guy in the streets, to the guy he's still growing, and he still just wants to read comic books. He still sees the world as a 12-year-old should, as a 13-year-old should, a 14-year-old should. He's still being a child. But at that point, he's starting to understand I like girls now too, though. But these girls, the girls I like, they don't like me. I don't fit the profile for them. So now, even his best friend, former best friend, because for me, Jake violated. And I'm going to just give you this advice. Don't ever live by that bros before hoes. If your man violates you like that and sleep with a girl you're in a relationship with, that's showing you right there what he's capable of and where his loyalty is. And at that point, you just sever ties with the relationship, man. Because I don't care if it's 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, it will recur. It will occur again, I should say. And it may not even manifest itself in relationship wise. It may manifest itself in business, or it may steal from you. But when a person violates that trust like that, you have to understand that's what they're capable of. So you just end it. So like I said, he goes out west. They play video games. He beat her. And she was basically the second best, I guess, in there because the other dudes, I thought I was the only one could beat her. So then they walking, Kev vibing with her, and I guess she walking him back to the train station, and he like, you want me to ride on the train with you? He's still trying to be a gentleman because that's how boys are taught. You protect the woman. She's like, no, I know how to get home. So see what you're seeing right now is the shift between her kind of elevating already. She's already at the can't no man do nothing for me. Her thing already was, yes, I had two options. Go live with my father and my brother or foster home. So you know what I chose. But in her head already, I'm grown. And I'm the protector. I can do bad all by myself. So this is already happening for her already. At 14, 15 years old, the black feminist has already been created. And it's when I told you in yesterday's episode with the do you want to take the red pill, the indoctrination happened a long time ago. People just don't realize it has happened. People's parents have passed this down and programmed their children already. And it's why in that part, when she says the decision has already been made, you just need to understand why. See, when people make decisions, it's already been preordained. You're going to do this. You've been programmed to either make this decision or that decision. We just need to understand why. Because you've only been given a couple options. So they already know you can only go left or right, up or down. You're in the box. That's it. So now that we put you in this box, we understand it's just 4 decisions to be made. And we just understand why you made that decision. So then he was like, you want to go to the movies? And she was like, you asking me out on a date? And he was like, yeah, something like that. So she says, no, I don't really see you like that. Basically, you corny. So he hearing it again. So he looks stunned. She was like, but we could be friends, you know. We still play the video game together. Which is cool, but that ain't what Kevin want. That ain't what a lot of these men want. But that's the box they've been put in because that's the only way they can sit next to a woman. It's kind of like, I can't even think of the dude name on that Martin episode when Gina was going to buy shoes. And dude wanted to get with Pam, so he would go sit with them and sit with Gina and go shoe shopping with her for hours and hours and hours and hours. Wallace, that was his name. Wallace, there you go. Sit with her for hours on end just to keep getting intel and to hope Pam would one day ask him out, or he could ask Pam out and they could go on a date. That's what you forced the square into. Just and it's why I tell women that man is not your friend on that type level. He's really your friend because he wanted to be with you, but you didn't see him like that. So he's just stuck in this box of this. But please believe, you ever call that man who you think is just your friend and sees you like that and he's heterosexual, you go to him crying and you rub on his leg and his head and you kiss on him, he's gonna smash. And he'll show you exactly what he thinks of that friendship. Now, what he'll do is when you kiss him, he'll say, no, we shouldn't be doing this. Then you'll get even more aggressive and pull him closer and get more affectionate. And he'll be like, you sure you want to do this? What about our friendship? And then you'll say, let's just do what we're doing right now. He gonna go. Now, if he was truly a friend, he'll be like, no, you just speaking out of emotion right now. You hurt. This ain't really what you feel. And for any of you women who think that, see it. If you ever become single, just play with that guy you think is your friend and rub on his leg and ask him, do he want to go out on a real date, and see what he says. So that happens. She basically tells Kev, give me your phone. Let me put my number in there. Let me program it in there for you. Kev get on the train, go home. And it ends, I think, his thing ends with him dyeing his hair blue to kind of become the outcast now and hope that gets attention from girls. Because it's a last-ditch effort now. They don't like me for who I am. So now I have to become someone else. Hence why I said we're all a product of prior decisions, prior hurt. That was my recap of episode 7, season 4, The Shot of Black Messiah. It's your boy, the Hood Nerd. I get at y'all next time around. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. I'm out.